everybody. Thank you guys for coming out today for the return of the corn boil. This is an event that in years past, gentleman who's kind of headed it up, Ed Smith, a longtime member of our committee, pushed to bring this back. And prior to COVID, we had some discussions, and finally this year, a joint effort between our committee and Whitman, we've made it happen. So thank you everybody for coming. I'm Miles Heeger. I'm the chair of the East Bridgewater Republican Town Committee. Greg Eaton, chair of the Whitman Republican Town Committee, is going to get up here shortly and speak. We've got a couple of guest speakers who'd like to address the crowd. The order we're going to go in is elected officials first, and then any candidates who are here after that. So I'm going to start with our law enforcement contingent. The district attorney, Tim Cruz, will lead off the speaking, and we'll have Sheriff Mcdonald speak second.
Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Tim Cruz, and for the last 20 years, I've been the district attorney here in Plymouth County, where I've born and raised, where I've grown up, and a lot of that is because of a lot of people that are here today. And I appreciate all the work from the Whitman and East Bridgewater town committees and all the town committees here that maybe sometimes don't get a lot of credit, but are absolutely essential as to what we do on a daily basis and trying to get out and running as Republicans here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is always a challenge. You know, we're lucky that we have a lot of really good people who are in office right now, and we need to get a lot more. And to help us as we proceed down that path and make the changes that we need to make here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You know, I look every day and I see what's going on in our county, and I see what's going on with law enforcement. And when we ask and we talk to our legislators, and we have a lot of great ones. I mean, Allison's here. We have a lot of really good people up there right now. But trying to get information or giving information to legislators who then allegedly are listening to us and putting it into work form later on so that it comes out so that we have coherent laws so we can keep people safe, doesn't always work that way. And that's too bad. And I think it really shouldn't be that way because we are living in challenging times right now. All you've got to do is turn the television on and open up the newspapers, and you see some terrible things that are going on all over the country. And crime is virtually unabated, and especially in the big urban communities, whether it be San Francisco, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Orlando, Florida, you name it, Boston, notwithstanding what some numbers will tell you. I'll tell you this, the numbers in Plymouth County, our homicide numbers, our shooting numbers, the numbers of assault shots at people in our community, they're all down. Every one of them. And you know why that is? Because in Plymouth County, we actually prosecute people and give them to the sheriff. There's always going to be terrible things that happen, especially in under-resourced communities. Like in our city of Brockton, we certainly have a lot of issues that are going on in there. And there was something that occurred the other night, a lot of issues dealing with drugs, dealing with mental health. These are things that we all need to get in front of. Because when we do that, we can all make a difference. So I'm very appreciative of all the work that you do for all of us. I'm not up here, you all know me, you know what I do, and I appreciate the help that you've given me in the past. I am up again in 2022, along with the sheriff, along with Allison, along with a lot of people. And we're going to be looking for your help because we need to have it. And you are the reason why we are here. I thank you for the work you've done for me. I thank you for the work you've done for the others. I'm going to ask you to do it at least one more time so that we can continue to go on, because I'm running for re-election as the sheriff and many other people. And by working together, we're going to be able to continue to make a difference here in our county and keep people safe. And that's what my job is, and I think we've been able to do that for the last 20 years. And with your help, we'll be able to do more and more. So thanks so much for having me here.
Thank you, Tim. Next up, Sheriff of Plymouth County, Sheriff Joe Mcdonald.
Miles, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Tim, thank you for your words. And thank you everybody for coming out and saying hello. And thank you to our cooks for making a great late lunch for us. I love coming back here to the commercial club in East Bridgewater here, this is the location where I had my victory party back in 2004. It seems like it was yesterday, yeah. You know, and there was a tight electoral victory that night, so tight that we didn't know whether or not we pulled. Yeah, we were all here together. So boy, we were fighting, you know, and for about a week after that, before the former sheriff conceded, and yeah, it was a crazy time. But you know, we've had some crazy times since then, and you know, here in Plymouth County, things happily seem to be much better than they are in other places, because those crazy times, you know, you look nationally at the craziness that's going on, and there's no other word for it. It's absolutely crazy. But as Tim said, I am running for re-election, and I'm on a 6-year cycle, Tim's on a 4-year cycle, so we don't get to run together all the time. But what's really great is that even when we're not running together, people think we're running together, and it really is a wonderful thing. And we hear all the time from police chiefs and law enforcement officials from other counties how they wish they could be part of something, the chemistry we have here in Plymouth County. It really is a special thing. And as Tim said, we know we didn't get here by ourselves, and we know that we can't stay here by ourselves. And we want to thank you all for all the hard work that you've done. We've played it extremely straight. We tell people what's happening. You know, there's no need to obfuscate or mince words. We're very forthcoming as to what it is we're going to do and what it is that we stand for. And that's law and order, keeping people safe. And sometimes that means keeping people safe in their homes. And unfortunately, sometimes that means keeping people safe in a cell down with me in Plymouth. That's, you know, that helps all of us. So, you know, we're very, very gratified. I want to share one quick funny story, which I did share with the DA. A week ago, someone wrote a letter into, somebody from Melrose, which is Middlesex County, wrote a letter into the Herald last Sunday. At least they published it last Sunday. And I forwarded that letter to the sheriff of the Middlesex, who is a wonderful person, but very, very liberal. That person was complaining about the policies of the Suffolk County DA's office, which had made a determination that certain crimes aren't really worth prosecuting. You know, I think that's very ill-advised, but that's not my philosophy nor Tim's. But that person's letter was very funny to me, because they were complaining that the Suffolk DA is in line to be appointed the United States Attorney for this district. And they didn't like that because they're afraid, and rightfully so, that she's going to continue the same policies at the federal level. So this individual, this guy said, we should get somebody like that sheriff in Plymouth County, whatever his name is. So I sent it to the sheriff up in Middlesex, who was a nice man but very liberal, and he said, oh my gosh, you're picking up support in Middlesex County. I said, hey, you know what, you guys keep it up and we'll continue to get support. But really, I want to thank you all. As I said, we can't do these jobs by ourselves. We didn't get there by ourselves. And if at any time it looks like we're standing tall, and I think that's like most of the time, that's because we're standing on your shoulders, and we know that. So we thank you for everything that you have done to give us the opportunity to do the jobs, hopefully make you proud. And we intend, and I intend, and Timmy announced it as well, we're both running for re-election, and we're happy to be here. So thank you all.
Thank you, Sheriff. Greg's going to join up here. I think we both want to acknowledge a couple of local elected officials in the crowd here. Selectman from East Bridgewater, Dave Sheedy, just stepped down here. We have Selectman from Whitman, Brian Bezanson and Dan Salvucci. We have former Plymouth County Commissioner Tony O'Brien. We also have, I'm trying to think, Heidi Hosmer. She's a Board of Assessor. Oh, there you are. And Al Green is running for school committee in Brockton. And Lonnie?
Yeah.
Lonnie, planning board in Whitman.
And don't forget Jerry.
So both the sheriff and district attorney had mentioned working with representatives and as well as senators, commissioners. Well, we do have State Representative Allison Sullivan here. So I would like to step aside and let Allison speak to the group.
It's a little chilly out today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Allison Sullivan. I'm the state rep here in the 7th Plymouth District. I believe it's still here right now. We will find out hopefully in the next couple of weeks what our redistricting will look like. Maybe hopeful to get another Republican, depending on the district and how it's formed. I was elected in 2018. I've been serving since 2019, and we had a pandemic halfway through my first year. So let's just say it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. But I couldn't have done it without all of you guys and the support I received from the Whitman Republican Town Committee, the East Bridgewater, and the Abington Republican Town Committee. Really getting our messaging out there in 2018 was something that was important to all of us, making sure we held a seat after Jeff stepped down to run for Senate, and to make sure that we really had a voice up at Beacon Hill. And I've tried to be that voice, to say the least. I do have an uphill battle up at the Beacon Hill, like Jeff knows. It's never an easy battle, but it's a battle worth fighting for. And our dynamic duo over there, we can't do it without the two of them. You know, Jeff and Tim. Joe and Tim. You know, like you said, criminal justice reform was a big thing this year. You know, police reform last year, right before the end of session, and it was very frustrating. I was actually out with an ankle injury because of a motorcycle accident, but I was not out. I was on the phone fighting for. Against, I should say, the police reform bill. It has done damage, and it will continue to do damage to our Commonwealth, and it's just a very scary thought of where this is going, especially in the recent events that happened in Brockton and recent events that happened in Braintree. It's getting closer and closer to home here in Plymouth County, and that is a very, very, very scary thought. So we need to keep fighting, keep electing more and more Republicans. We need to be able to have a voice up at the State House so that, God forbid, more Democrats are elected. It's a scary thought, but we need to keep fighting. So thank you for having me here today, and thank you for all you guys do.
Thank you, Allison. Real quick, before I introduce the next speaker, there's a couple of people I want to thank for all their hard work on this event. If you were on the subcommittee that helped us out with this, you could just stand up real quick. Or no one can stand up if they don't want to put it Heidi and Joyce worked really hard on the silent auction stuff up there. So at the end of this, if you guys can go up there and take a look around and write down some bids, that would be great. At the end of the event, we will, if you put down your phone number and leave beforehand, we'll give you a call and let you know that you won. Otherwise, we will probably auction that stuff off, I don't know, probably like 5:15ish if you want to hang around. So definitely go check that out. I want to thank Ed Smith for everything that he's done for this. It wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't have been possible for us to get it off the ground if Ed Smith hadn't laid the groundwork for it 20 years ago. So Ed was...
You have to remind me it's been 20 years, come on.
He's been invaluable as a advisor for this event, and I'm definitely grateful for his help, and I know Miles is too. Fred Small is not with us, but he printed out all the invites that most of you got in the mail, so we're always thankful for the help that Fred gives the Whitman Town Committee. Kelly and Dan have been working with me to crunch the numbers and make sure that we're actually going to make a profit here. So if you haven't donated, make sure you visit one of them and make a donation. And I want to thank Bob Van Dusen, who we missed when we were introducing local officials.
Constable.
He is the East Bridgewater Constable, and his family
His family is, they own the Italian kitchen, and they provided both the macaroni salad and the potato salad. So we're grateful for that. And please, if you have events to be catered, please see Bob. I'm sure he'd be love to take care of you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Plymouth County Commissioner Jared Valenzuela.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Miles. I'll be brief because I'm lucky. I know, yes, of course. We always want to brief. I just want to say thank you, Greg and Miles, to the East Bridgewater and Whitman Republican Town Committees. I was blessed to be elected last November 2020, and lucky me, I have a 4-year term, so I don't have to worry about running again until 2024. But just a couple of small, quick tidbits about what Plymouth County Commissioners do. The last year plus, and Dan and Brian are especially aware of this, we've been managing the Plymouth County CARES Act. And as some might recall, there were a few slings and arrows, thank you Representative Sullivan. There were a lot of slings and arrows that Plymouth County took for administering that fund, both a lot of local folks, all the way up to Governor Baker himself. Plymouth County stood strong, my predecessors and my predecessor board stood strong, and the results have been resounding. I always love to use Whitman as the example because Whitman's cap with Plymouth County was $2.8 million. Compare that to Swampscott's cap of $1.3 million. All told, Plymouth County, similar sized communities that are not in Plymouth County that had to deal with the state were capped at a collective $45 million. Plymouth County communities, $90 million. So you got twice as much money. The state hasn't distributed nearly as much money as Plymouth County has. So you got more money faster, and we did it at a cost of less than 1%, which has been lauded. Which is not only the best in the state, but it's actually the best nationwide. And when the federal government calls and checks in on this, because it's federal money, so they kind of want to make sure we're not screwing around with it. When they call and check on this, they have marveled every single time that we've been able to keep those costs low. And part of the reason why I like to highlight that is because Republicans in this state, as we all know, have a very difficult uphill battle. Whether it's Rep. Sullivan on Beacon Hill, the sheriff and the district attorney fighting constantly to keep us safe and healthy in the county. What's important is when we're elected, Republicans lead and Republicans effectuate efficient government. And that's what we're so proud of to be able to do with the Plymouth County Commissioners. Former Commissioner O'Brien knows the budget for Plymouth County right now is the same as it was when Tony left 10 years ago. We do extraordinary work on an extremely lean budget, and we're excited to undertake the American Rescue Plan. Again, I am not up next year. My colleague, Commissioner Sandra Wright, is. Another fun tidbit, the Plymouth County Commissioners are the only partisan elected border commission in the entire state that is a majority Republican. I intend to keep it that way with Sandy being up next year. Certainly, you've all been there for her in the past, and we're looking forward to working with you folks again in the future. And again, I just wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you here. I've known many of you for so many years. When I stepped up to run for county commissioner, I had the support of all the electeds, the sheriff, the DA, Rep. Sullivan, former Rep. Deal. Everybody was so great to be so supportive. And frankly, I had what I consider to be the most fun campaign I've ever run. And to be able to work with all of you fine folks to continue building on good Republican leadership in Plymouth County. Again, thank you. Go Red Sox!
So, just for anybody paying attention or wondering, the Patriots did pull the game out 25-22.
Hey!
So that's one step in the right direction. It wasn't pretty, but a win's a win. We've got the radio in the back. I was playing the Patriots game earlier, so if you haven't made a trip over to see the bartender, Chris, please do. Patriots won, yeah. 25-22. So that is it for elected officials. We're going to jump into candidates now. We have 2 candidates for governor here tonight. We'll start with Jeff Deal, and then we'll go to Kim Duffy and continue down the ballot. So, Jeff.
All right. Been here before. This place looks familiar to me. Glad we're here again. Great to see everybody. Allison, you doing it for you? Where's Allison? There you are. Doing a great job up there. I know you've got a big vote coming up ahead. The Senate just passed the ballots, mail-in balloting. It's going to go to the House next.
Cheap by now.
And we'll see if the governor signs it. Hopefully not. What's your gut on that? Listen, I've been obviously running around the state a little bit because running for governor, and you guys probably heard the news on Tuesday. President Trump endorsed the campaign, so that's exciting. But I was just eating here a little earlier and talking with Gary's wife, and just a little bit about what I'm seeing when I'm across the state right now. Because as the DA and the sheriff mentioned, Plymouth County actually does really well. I won Plymouth County in 2018. I actually won Steve Lynch's congressional district, South Boston, Dorchester area, in 2018. So we have great folks here who understand what conservatism and family values and making sure that we do the right thing for working folks is all about. They know Republicans are there for them. But around the state, it's a little bit harder. So we were in Springfield yesterday and been in Worcester several times, a bunch of the cities, trying to make sure that we spread that Republican message. And the thing I keep hearing the most is just how disappointed people are in the federal government. Now, I ran for U.S. Senate, so I keep telling them I'm running for state, but at the same time, a lot of those federal decisions bleed down into Massachusetts. So you've got this president right now with an approval rating that is absolutely cratering by the day, and it really feels like there's almost no leadership down in Washington, D.C., and it feels like all these federal agencies are working against us, right? The IRS, we knew about the IRS years ago when they weren't letting Republican or conservative groups organize. Now you're finding out the FBI is being empowered to go after parents that are trying to basically question the curriculum at schools. And they're saying, you know, investigate these folks because they're upset about critical race theory. It's insane. The military, you know, we always thought that the one thing you can count on is the military. And you can, the troops, you can definitely count on. But the suits right now, it seems like they're reading from the woke agenda. And it doesn't feel like they're putting American interest first. They're putting, you know, sort of a partisan interest first. It's like politics is dripping into everything that we didn't want it to get into. And that is happening here in Massachusetts as well. You know, you see a politicization of so many things that really are supposed to be, you know, neutral. Again, back in our schools, these teachers, you know, when it comes to mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, it feels like it's more of a political agenda now than it is a health issue.
Yeah.
Right? So look, one of the things I think you know is that when I was a state representative, I was always trying to listen to you guys, make sure that I represented what you needed as a district, as a state, and put those things forward. In 2012, for example, I filed a bill to do voter identification to, you know, show ID to vote. Okay? On my website, there's a video of my speech I gave in 2012. It's not a new issue, but clearly with mail-in balloting, you know, with mail-in balloting, showing ID to vote is going to be an important thing to try to have for the future if we can defeat the mail-in balloting. Look, we've already got absentee balloting. And you guys know this. A lot of you folks who work in town government know if you're not going to be there on election day, you let the clerk know. They make sure that you get that absentee ballot. When you return it, they check it off against who said they weren't going to be there. Very much chain of custody. But with mail-in balloting, they are just going to mail out the ballots to anybody and everybody. Who knows who fills it out? Who knows who mails it back? At the clerk's office, who knows who intercepts it any time before the clerk actually gets it there? There's several ways that any of those ballots can be manipulated before they're counted. And therefore, to me, that mail-in balloting is going to be death for Massachusetts if that gets made permanent. So that's going to be a very closely watched issue going on. But there's another thing that's happening really soon too. The October 17 deadline, since we're talking a little bit about law enforcement and public safety, just want to touch on that too. October 17th is the mandate for the vaccine for corrections officers and other state employees. The administration is requiring. And what you're seeing right now is some people have tried to push back. The corrections officers have had a lawsuit that did not pass. And just got word on Friday that the National Guard is being asked to fill in, not just for school buses now, but being asked to fill in at prisons for any corrections officers who end up being fired or walk off the job because of the vaccine. Just so you know, the National Guard folks don't just grow on trees. It's not like we go, oh, hey, there's a spare truck full of National Guardsmen. They're all actually working in some other capacity in the state. And by the way, if anybody works for a small business or is trying to, you know, we were talking about supply chain stuff earlier. If you're trying to get your business going again after the pandemic, you've got wishes of your own trying to get people to come back to work after all the enhanced unemployment. Now you've got the National Guard pulling people away from their jobs as well. So this is going to be an issue that's popping up in the next week or so, and we're going to have to see how the governor handles it. I'm not sure if Governor Baker is going to run for re-election. If he does, I think the Republicans in this state deserve a discussion about his track record and what his future goals are. And we'll have that debate. If he doesn't run or if anybody else runs, that's fine. We need to have those debates. But at the same time, I'm very proud of the conservative values I have, and I'm ready to defend them. I hope that the governor makes a decision soon, because I think we all are feeling a little bit anxious about where this country's going and who's gonna be the leaders, and it's time to make that call soon. Have those discussions sooner rather than later. And so I'm looking forward to like I said, the campaign. You guys have seen, I'm sure, the website, jeffdeal.com. It's the same one I've had for years. And we've got bumper stickers, lawn signs, shirts, and things like that. So I won't go on anymore. There's obviously ways you can support. We've got events going on all over the place. But coming here, back home to where it really all started back in 2010 is nice. I remember coming here when this was, it's still the place after the Memorial Day ceremony in town. You come here for the chicken roast, and the whole town's here. And I remember coming here when I was the challenger to the incumbent Democrat and trying to walk up and down the aisles here, and everybody's just kind of like trying to avert their eyes, like, I don't want to talk to the challenger. Oh my God, right? But when you win, obviously it's nice. Everybody kind of changes their attitude. But it was challenging at the time because my opponent was from East Bridgewater. But it's been a town that's incredibly great ever since I got into office, and a great town that has great leadership as the chair of the Republican Party. I know Bob Alexander was the prior chair who passed away a few years ago. Miles has taken it to a new level. That's fantastic. Greg's doing a great job with the Whitman Republican Town Committee. Of course, Brian Bezanson left it in great hands, passing it on to other great hands. So having an event like this today, we didn't do these things a few years ago, and now we're finally starting to have those combined events where we can all get together and talk and really let candidates speak, but also share among ourselves what's important. So thank you guys for organizing this, and thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you, Jeff. We have Kim Duffy from Quincy, right?
Yep.
Kim's running for governor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming.
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Kim Duffy. I'm a lifelong resident of Quincy, Massachusetts. I was born in South Korea, and I was adopted into an Irish-Scottish family in North Quincy. I've been to the old country, believe it or not. It was 17 years ago. I went with my parents. We went for 12 days. It was lovely. I did all the driving, though, and I did a terrific job, except when my mother got in the front seat, because she was in the front seat once the entire 12 days. But there's a lot of roundabouts in Ireland, and you go left instead of right. And she was sitting in the front seat, and she's like, honey, you're going the wrong way, go right. And I'm like, no, I'm going left. I'm like, oh, this is it. My father said, Margie, back seat. So she rode in the back seat the remainder of the trip. Anyways, it was a lovely place. I have many of the same agreements with Jeff Deal, because we're both Republicans, we're both conservatives. I don't know Jeff very well, but he's very articulate, very intelligent, seems like a great guy. But the difference between us is I'm a really good problem solver, and I'm really good at negotiating. I think I'll do a better job being governor. I have over 10 years of finance and investment banking experience, which will help me manage a $45 billion budget. I have solutions to lowering our taxes. I will do a deep dive into possibly eliminating the income tax. There are several states that have no income tax, and they're doing very, very well. Wyoming, Florida, Texas. There's a couple states, two states that do not tax earned wages, excuse me. And that is New Hampshire and Tennessee. So we have options, and no one's looking into these options. Why not? Why isn't the current governor doing it? Why haven't past governors done this? We need to lower our taxes in Massachusetts. So solutions for in the current governor, Lieutenant Governor Polito, what are they doing about methadone mile? Okay, this is a disgrace. Mental health issues are going on down there, along with drug use in the streets, the feces on the sidewalk, those small businesses, the people who live in that area, the hospitals in that area, some of the people are being attacked and have to get escorted, the nurses and doctors to their vehicles. It's just wrong. And I think Mayor Janey, she would like to ship some of these folks to Revere and put them in a hotel in Revere. It's just insane that it's not being addressed. People aren't finding solutions. The current administration, they're just putting Band-Aids on things. Not even Band-Aids. They're not even finding any solutions to any of the major issues going on. I've gone to parochial school most of my life. I went to St. Agatha's in East Milton, and I went to Archbishop Williams in Braintree. But my daughter, she's gone through all Quincy public schools, and she's doing terrific. I'm raising her Catholic, but she's gone through all public schools in Quincy. I would also, I'm a proponent of adding charter schools, and I'm also a proponent of homeschooling. I want to give those options to parents. Parents should have options, just like we should have options for people running for office, us Republicans. I think it's important that we continue to recruit like-minded folks. We need to have discussions. Like this is great to see the amount of people that showed up today. This is awesome. But we need to recruit more people. We're turning more into a red state. I firmly believe that. I too was at the Springfield rally yesterday. It was fantastic. I met a couple Democrats who, I have their vote. I have their vote. Well, they're going to watch us because they're really, really tired of what's going on with the White House, and we know what's going on. It's I don't want to wake up one day and be in a communist country, because that's where we're heading. You know, I was a Democrat many years ago, but like Reagan put it so well, I did not leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me, and that's what happened with me as well. They were going this way, I'm going this way. Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank you, Kim. So the next speaker is someone that I think a lot of people in the area are going to know. She ran for Congress last cycle against Ayanna Pressley. About a month ago, she announced that she was running for Secretary of State. So I'm going to turn it over to Rayla Campbell.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rayla Campbell, and I am running for Secretary of State of Massachusetts. I am so excited to be back in fresh stomping grounds, kind of like my home territory. I grew up in Situate, Mass. So in low-income and housing, and people are like, Situate has projects. Yes, the village, that's us, we're the village kids. But it is so important right now to be running for Secretary of State. And I changed from running for Lieutenant Governor because of what happened to me last year. When I was running for Congress, and Galvin's office broke the law to keep me off the ballot. And they broke my constitutional rights. So I have an active lawsuit going against the Secretary of State's office right now. And we need voter ID, voter integrity, and a full audit. And there is a reason why. Jay McMahon also should have won last year. And we're going to find out what happened to Jay's race. Because he had it. He had it. It was so exciting to see that. I was like, I love Jay. So I spent a lot of time down the Cape and talking to people. I spent a lot of time in my communities. We actually went out into Dorchester in certain areas where it said that there were 0 ballots cast for me. And we got affidavits from people that wrote my name in. So we have a whole collection of everything. And we also confronted the Secretary of State's office. That's called Opinion Guide. You can find that on my Facebook page. It's pretty great. They had an opinion of the law. Now the law's in black and white. So we're making sure we get all of this documented. And we have proof. Same thing when we went down to Boston and we went to the elections division. They already showed that they can't count ballots. 3 different times they counted the state committee race it was in Suffolk County for last year. 3 times, 3 different numbers. That's that Common Core math. trying to fix that. But, so, why won't they recount my ballots? Don't look at her, don't make any eye contact with her, pretend she's not here. Please, please come help me. All I'm doing is asking a question. And everybody knows, thank God for our men and women in blue, because they have been protecting me with all of the violent attacks that my family has endured, with all of the name callings, the threats on my house, the threats of gang rapes, the threats to be shot. I have 3 small children, 11, 9, and 4. They come first, and their safety comes first. And we're now in a time where when you get out there and you love your country and you want to protect your country, you have people that want to tear you down, but they can't tear me down. I am strong. I am born and raised in this state. My family and my husband's family have mixed kids. They're Irish. They come from the Dorchester, Mission Hill, and Mattapan projects. And they made a decision to move to the suburbs for a better education, which we see we don't have right now. We see what they're trying to do. There's no way you're going to teach my children that they're half racist. Absolutely not. And if you're going to teach them slavery, why don't you teach them about their Irish slavery? Because they were enslaved way longer than us. So I'm on the front lines of everything. If you've seen me or following my page, you see that I am marching in the streets with people. I am supporting everybody's values, our American values. I believe that we only have one national anthem. I don't even know the Black national anthem. We will always stand before the flag. We kneel before God. We know our history. We love our history. It all started here. Massachusetts is where liberty and freedom were born. And I'll be damned if I let it die here. So we have ballot initiatives, and voter ID is so important, because if we all saw what happened last year, we saw that us who voted, our votes didn't count. But those who counted the votes, those are the ones that counted. I want to make sure that I'm counting all of the votes, so everybody's vote counts legally. Because we see that too. And it is so important that we are standing up together and fighting this corruption. We have a march from Moderna to Pfizer on Tuesday, and it's going to be big because we see what is happening in our communities. We have our heroes of last year are now our zeros of today because they choose my body, my choice. What's going on? My child, my choice. I was also in Springfield yesterday, and thanks for Vinny for taking my line, because he now has beautiful lawn signs, freedom over fear. And it is important that we're protecting our freedom. We love having these choices, being able to be free to make our own decisions, to make our own choices for our children, education, where they go and grow up and live, in what schools and the communities, and what they're being taught. Now, I've driven by Bridgewater Public Library, and my problem is putting up anything that is a political statement on any buildings. When I see Black Lives Matter, no. All lives matter. Attacks that BLM and Antifa put on my poor family last year, attacking a baby in a stroller. That happened in DC when I went to the Million MAGA March. And they knew who I was. And I had an attack I had a target put on my back. And when I came back here to Massachusetts and I was attacked again, and then I got the police report and saw that it was a targeted attack. They admitted it. That is voter intimidation. What is the Secretary of State doing for oversight of all of these crazy, corrupt, even politicians, and intimidating the voters, trying to scare the voters? We're not going to allow that to happen. And people need to realize when you say no, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter, that's voter suppression. We need to be standing up and standing strong and being together, being united. Because united we stand, divided we fall. You guys are gonna see me a lot more. I have yard signs. So these ones I just got, but just like Jeff, we have them on our website. You can get it. You can order merchandise, yard signs, bumper stickers. I'm gonna get magnets soon. Those I'm gonna be handing out at different events that I'm going to. You can definitely follow me on Facebook because that's pretty much the only way you're gonna keep up with me, because I can't even keep up with me. And I homeschool 3 children. So it's definitely a challenge. It's exciting, but I need your support. And I need your voices to be strong and to not be afraid. Let me be out there and take all of the attacks, because I can take them. But we need you guys behind us. That strong support behind us makes us even stronger when we go out there and fight these Democrats. Because we know how corrupt they are. And they do not want to see me get on the ballot again. But this time, they don't have a choice. Because I'm coming, and I'm coming strong. And that is why we started. So thank you guys so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Rayla. Last but not least, guys, I'm going to turn it over to a good friend of mine, someone who announced that he was going to run for state senate against Mike Brady. We're going to see in a couple of weeks whether or not he's still running against Mike Brady. There's a chance he could be running against Walter Penalty. But nonetheless, Gary Ennis for state senate.
Really, you're really hard to follow.
I know.
I gotta say,
difficult to follow me.
yes, what's that?
I said it's really, really difficult to follow after me. It's like,
It's all good, it's all good. Thank you for your work.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the elected officials. You guys are awesome. It's nice to see us winning battles and winning elected offices. Jeff, where now? Thank you very much for everything you've done since I announced, which was about 6 months ago. Greg's been great. Heidi's been great. Almost everybody I see in this room is helping one way or the other. Thank you very much. I'm running for state senate. I live in Hanover. I may be redistricted shortly, but my towns currently are, if they don't change, Hanover, Hanson, Halifax, Plimpton, all of Brockton, including Allen's Ward 3, wards 1, 2, and 3 in East Bridgewater, and 1 and 2 in Easton. What it could end up being, we don't know for sure, Milton, Canton, everything around Brockton is one of the possibilities. I was born and raised in Milton for 22 years, so I'm comfortable doing Milton. In Hanover for 36 years, we had a flower shop, my wife and I for 27 years in Duxbury. So if that ends up being the new district, I probably have a greater chance to win. But I firmly believe, and I know you think I'm foolish to saying this, that even with Brockton, I believe I can win. And Alan Green right here has been helping me in Ward 3, and he won his preliminary election for school committee, and I'm working every Saturday to win Ward 3. And if I can win Ward 3 for Alan, I can win Ward 3 for me. If I take 2 or 3 wards in Brockton, I take the whole thing. Alan, you've been great. Thank you very much for listening. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Gary. So one final thing we have to do today, that normally, whether it be a Plymouth County GOP event or any other type of recognition event, we as a town committee have not recognized any of our members in a few years now, whether it be due to COVID or not having a Plymouth County GOP recognition breakfast. Unfortunately, all 3 people who we are honoring today are not here. One member did say she was going to try to get here. She hasn't shown up, whether she will or not, but the recognition is well deserved of all 3 of these folks. And we do have citations from our state representative, Allison Sullivan. So first and foremost, I'll mention the members of the East Bridgewater Committee we're honoring. Jim and Rena Havens have been members of our town committee for well over 20 years. And anytime you looked at whether it be an event or a candidate running, Jim and Rena were there. They showed up at countless town committee meetings, town meetings, and they've never gotten the proper recognition from our town committee. So, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't mention and thank Jim and Rena for their countless years of dedication and service to our town committee. It has not went unnoticed or unrecognized, and many candidates and many elected officials who are here know Jim and Rena's passion for conservative politics and the Republican Party locally. So Jim and Rena are not in attendance, but it doesn't mean that you know, it doesn't go unnoticed, because their efforts have certainly been appreciated and seen. So I do know that we're going to present these to them, but that's the House citation for Jim, and that's signed by the Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, and our State Representative, Allison Sullivan. And then obviously the same citation for Rena for her years of dedicated service to the town committee. So we thank them, and I will turn it over to Greg to mention the member from the Whitman Town Committee that is being honored here today for their countless years of service.
So when Miles and I first talked about it, there was only one name that came to mind. Anyone who's been involved in Republican politics knows Mary Alice Kirby, and obviously Ned Kirby's wife of many years. She's been super involved from the time that I was like this tall, and probably a few years before that. I can remember seeing Mary Alice at events and out holding signs. So there was only one name that came to mind, and so we are recognizing Mary Alice Kirby for her years of commitment to the Republican Party. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. She wanted to. Yes, Mr. Deal.
Next Saturday, she is turning 90. She's having her 90th birthday party. And if you want to stop by her house, she's having some, people can stop by. She's entertaining family, but you can stop by and say hello. Just don't come in and take all the food. But next Saturday at 1 o'clock, celebrate her 90th and stop by and say hello.
Like Greg had mentioned, you know, ever since we were involved, Mary Alice was there. I have a quick Mary Alice story that I have to share. It was when Jeff was running for state representative in 2010. It was October, right around this time of the year, and Mary Alice was managing Jeff's campaign office over in Whitman, which is now, I believe, the office next door to ABC Specialties.
Nail salon.
Yes, it's a nail salon now. And Mary Alice was adamant that she had to leave early because it was her and Ned's anniversary that night. And we had a standout planned for Jeff right along Route 18. And Mary Alice and Ned, I can't remember what year of marriage it was for them, went driving through in their little Volkswagen convertible, beeping the horn and waving. And it's just one story I'll never forget, seeing those two going to anniversary dinner and making sure that they made it a point to go through and show support for a Republican candidate and Jeff at the time, because that was their priority. So we certainly thank all three of Jim, Rena, and Mary Alice for their years of service to the Republican Party, because we wouldn't be here and be able to be doing this if it wasn't for people like them.
Since Miles shared a story about her, I'll share a real quick story about her. As many of you know, Allison and I ran a primary against each other. When the primary was over, yes, when the primary was over, I got a phone call from Mary Alice Kirby, and she told me, now mind you, she had endorsed my opponent, and mind you, my opponent had called my home phone number for 7 days straight with different Republican endorsements, most of whom are here, regardless though. So Mary Alice called me, and she said, keep your head up, kid, you ran a hell of a race, and Ned would be damn proud of you, even though he probably never met you. And then she said, and make sure you run for something else down the road because we need strong Republican leadership. So,
I have to say, Greg, you did run a hell of a campaign, and I appreciate all the support you give me from that day after. You couldn't have done it without you. So thank you.
Thank you. Wrapping up. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Selectman Brian Besanson.
I want to share a quick story about the Kirby's. As you know, I'm a working selectman, and I thought about running for selectman back in 2004. And I was on the fence because I hadn't done it before. And just before I decided to run, I got a call from the Kirby's. When you get a call from Senator Kirby, like, you know that's important. And I took this call, and they got me involved with the RTC, and I ran for selectman back in 2004, and I'm still there now. 18 years I'm coming up on the end, and it was really, by and large, because of that. Dad was my mentor, and Mary Alice was the backbone behind everything in politics around. And I tried to pick her up tonight to bring her here, and at the last second she broke the field to her, and she broke her back in June. And she's in a wheelchair, but she sends her love to everybody, thanks everybody for everything that they've done over the years. And to me, without them, I would have never got into politics. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. So I just want to share that story.
So we've still got.
I don't understand everybody else, but I do have a follow-up on the great Allison story. It wasn't mentioned for the few that don't know. After that wonderful primary, very competitive, etc., Greg ended up becoming her campaign manager for a highly competitive primary election in November. Okay, the general election. Yeah, sorry, the general election in November, which says not only a lot about him, but says a lot about her as well.
That concludes the speaking portion of the event here tonight. We thank everybody for coming. There's still plenty of food. Please come help yourself to more corn. The bar is still open with Chris back there, but the silent auction is back there as well. We have a lot of great gifts and donations. I just want to thank many of the local businesses who donated, as well as thanking Joyce and Heidi for putting it together. Cowbells, the Venus Cafe, Adria Restaurant,
Ginger
Betty's, Lipinski Farm for doing the corn here, as well as everybody who donated an item. And on Target, the gun shop on Route 18, there's an item in there from them as well. Also, thanks to Kelly for donating items, and it's great to see many friends back here. One of our longtime secretary of the town committee, one of my biggest supporters, Sandra DeLillo's here today, so it's great to see you as well. So, again, thank you everybody. This is going to be broadcast on East Bridgewater Cable and Whitman Cable. When the link gets put up, please share it so folks can see all the great candidates and elected officials we have. You don't have to go home. Please stick around, enjoy the company. We're going to announce the silent auction item winners here shortly. Allison?
do we have any minutes to ask some questions on some of our candidates?
Sure.
If they're not like a debate type of thing, but I know where Jeff stands on a lot of issues just because Jeff is in the district, but I know Jeff personally, but I wasn't sure if you guys have a stance on mandates, on the mandates that are coming down the pipeline, the governor's mandate that is done for the executive branch with very limited exceptions for the executive employees, state employees, correctional officers have a mandate, state employees have a mandate. I wasn't sure thoughts on that.
Yeah. I would not enforce mandates, vaccine mandates, mask mandates on any individual. It's your body, it's your decision, it's your families, your kids, your children. I'm a small business. I think folks are intelligent enough to make a decision if they want to keep their business open or closed if the numbers tend to spike in their particular area. I would not enforce anything of that kind at all. That's shove that down people's throats. Absolutely not.
And if you've been watching me, it's completely unconstitutional. I'm born a mask unless I'm forced to wear a mask. I do not believe that you should be masking our children. It is dangerous and it is harmful and we are hurting them. I am not for vaccine mandates. It's not even a vaccine. As you see, I'm out there and I protest it all the time because I do not think that having an experimental treatment that hasn't gone through any of the stages that we do, we go from nothing to all of a sudden we have, a vaccine that has aborted fetal tissues in it to be put into our children's body. Absolutely not. As I see so many businesses being forced to either fire or enforce this mandate. These businesses, we want to see them stand up and we'll be right there behind them. We're fighting this the whole way through. We push it all the time that we are about freedom. This country is about freedom, and government should not be mandating anything on anybody at any point in time.
So, I'm on the record, I can point to the website where you can see my articles about being anti-mask and anti-vaccine mandates. My wife and I own a performing arts school at Boss Academy, and when the pandemic hit, we opened a learning pod so kids could come in and they could be on computers while their parents were going back to work, because kids were home three days a week and they were in school for 2 days a week. And we saw that the kids were having a very difficult time online trying to communicate with their teachers, these young children. So first of all, the masks were inhibiting education. But that was when the pandemic was happening. Now, you had a release of the mask mandate, and your kids were going to go back to school without the mask mandate. Then, all of a sudden, the CDC changed their mind on it. We've had such an uneven discussion about masks. You've had Fauci who said that no masks, then he said 2 masks, then you got to wear a mask, then P95, then cloth masks don't work. We've just been all over the place with masks. So I don't think the mask mandate's good. It's unhealthy for kids now back in school to not be able to see their teachers' faces and have that social interaction. So I've been totally against that. I think it's a parent's choice. The vaccine is even worse. It's not just your choice as to whether or not you get a vaccine, but also you may have natural immunity. A lot of these nurses, police officers were on the front line. They got that natural immunity and shouldn't be getting the vaccine on top of that, and yet they're going to be fired if they don't get that vaccine. It makes zero sense. Having a flat mandate like this is completely wrong. It was rolled out basically at the last minute, and almost none of these unions have had a chance to really, truly have their say in it. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be going forward. And as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about it, October 17th is a deadline. So we'll see, again, how many people end up walking away from their jobs or losing their jobs because of the governor's actions on this vaccine mandate and against it.
I don't really have any questions. I just think that they want power and control. That's all there is to it.
Yes.
They want to control us. They want to take away the freedom. That's the bottom line.
Exactly.
They don't give a damn about anything else. That's just my own view.
They
That's all
have
he had to add.
completely given up they took a constitutional oath to protect and serve the people, just like our law enforcement does to uphold the Constitution, and we see them left and right breaking the Constitution, breaking the law, and having.
They want it to continue. They don't want it to end.
You know what I was liking it to is the pullout of Afghanistan. So it was such a disaster, right? The military was there forever, and then when they pulled out, they just had bungled it completely, right? It feels like when government has, had this pandemic, they were trying to figure out the rules ad hoc, right? And now they're having a tough time getting out of it. They don't know how to get themselves out of it. It seems like the federal government says this, then the state says this, and then the state moves back to the feds. It's very uneven, and nobody wants to take responsibility in office for making a wrong decision. So bad decisions are being made by everybody. It's a botched pullout of the pandemic, is what it feels like.
Shut off the television. Do some reading. Would anybody else get any questions?